On March 12, 2026, a routine mission over western Iraq took a catastrophic turn. Two American KC-135 Stratotankers, the workhorses of aerial refueling, were operating in the pre-dawn darkness. Suddenly, one of them vanished from radar screens, followed by reports of a massive explosion on the ground. This wasn't just a tragic accident. It was an incident that threatened to unravel a massive, covert military operation, codenamed Epic Fury. What really happened to that KC-135? Was it a simple accident, or was something far more sinister at play? Let's break down the possible scenarios. The most straightforward explanation is a mid-air refueling accident. The KC-135s were flying in a tanker cell formation, a common tactic where multiple tankers fly together to refuel a large strike package. Refueling, especially at night and under radio silence, is an incredibly demanding task. The boom operator, lying prone in the tail of the tanker, must precisely guide a 47-foot-long refueling boom into a receptacle just a few feet wide on the receiving aircraft. The planes are flying at hundreds of miles per hour, often just 50 feet apart. A moment of spatial disorientation, a sudden gust of wind, or a minor mechanical failure could lead to a collision with devastating consequences. Given that the two KC-135s were flying in close proximity, a collision between them is also a distinct possibility. These formations are tight, and even a slight deviation from the flight path can be disastrous. However, we can't ignore the possibility of hostile action. The location itself, western Iraq, is a hotbed of activity for various militia groups, some of which are armed with sophisticated surface-to-air missiles, or SAMs, while older shoulder-fired missiles, known as manpads, might struggle to reach the KC-135's typical operating altitude of around 30,000 feet. More advanced systems could certainly pose a threat. The fact that only one tanker went down might suggest a targeted attack rather than a collision. A lucky missile shot could have hit a critical area like a wing-mounted engine or a fuel tank, causing a catastrophic explosion. Investigators on the ground would be searching for telltale signs, missile fragments in the wreckage, specific patterns of shrapnel damage, and the chemical residue from a warhead's explosive charge. Without that evidence, it's hard to confirm, but it remains a chilling possibility. So, why was this single tanker crash so critical? Because the KC-135 wasn't just a plane. It was the lifeblood of Operation Epic Fury. This top-secret operation was the American response to escalating tensions with Iran. The plan involved launching massive airstrikes against key Iranian strategic targets. But there was a major logistical hurdle. The primary strike aircraft, the formidable F-15E Strike Eagles and the stealthy B-2 Spirit bombers, were based thousands of miles away in Europe. To reach their targets deep inside Iran and return safely, they needed to be refueled multiple times in the air. Without the KC-135s, these long-range missions would be impossible. There were the flying gas stations that made the entire operation feasible. The strategic planning behind Epic Fury was immense. The U.S. Navy, recognizing the vulnerability of its aircraft carriers in the confined waters of the Persian Gulf, opted for a land-based air power strategy. This meant a massive logistical effort to surge air assets into the region. Dozens of KC-135 tankers were forward deployed from their home bases in the United States and the United Kingdom. Their destinations, sprawling air bases in Greece and Bulgaria. These locations were chosen for their strategic position, allowing the tankers to operate just outside the immediate threat ring of Iranian missiles, while still being close enough to support the incoming strike packages. Every tanker and every crew was a vital piece of a very complex puzzle. The loss of even one aircraft, like the one over Iraq, sent shockwaves through the entire command structure, forcing planners to recalculate fuel loads, flight paths, and mission timings. Interestingly, the American strategy for Operation Epic Fury seemed to mirror tactics that had been publicly discussed by another regional power, Israel. For years, Israeli military analysts had outlined a potential three-wave attack plan against Iran. The first wave would consist of electronic warfare aircraft and drones designed to blind Iranian air defenses, creating safe corridors for the main strike force. The second wave would be the heavy hitters, squadrons of F-15s, F-16s, and F-35s tasked with destroying primary targets like nuclear facilities and command centers. The third wave would then follow up, targeting missile launch sites and other military infrastructure to suppress any Iranian This three-wave approach relies heavily on flawless execution and, you guessed it, extensive aerial refueling. The distances from Israel to Iran are significant, and every fighter jet would need at least one, if not multiple, inflate towpods. The similarities in strategy suggest that American military planners may have studied and adapted the Israeli model for their own large-scale operation. The core principle is the same: overwhelm the enemy's defenses with a coordinated, multi-pronged assault that relies on the reach and endurance provided by aerial tankers. The stars of the American show were the F-15E Strike Eagle and the B-2 Spirit. The F-15E is a dual-role fighter, a master of both air-to-air combat and ground attack. It can carry a massive payload of precision-guided munitions and has the legs to fly deep into enemy territory. But even the mighty Strike Eagle has its limits. For the missions envisioned in Epic Fury, multiple refuelings from KC-135s would be they would meet their tankers over places like western Iraq, take on thousands of pounds of fuel, and then press on towards their targets. And then there's the B-2 Spirit, the crown jewel of the U.S. Air Force. Its stealth technology allows it to penetrate the most heavily defended airspace on the planet, virtually invisible to enemy radar. A single B-2 can carry a devastating payload, capable of striking multiple targets with pinpoint accuracy in a single sortie. But its home base is in Missouri, halfway across the world. A mission from the central United States to Iran and back is a marathon flight that can last over 30 hours. Such a mission is only possible with a fleet of pre-positioned tankers. The B-2 would link up with KC-135s several times during its journey, a delicate and highly classified ballet in the stratosphere. The loss of the KC-135 on March 12th was a stark reminder of the risks and complexities involved. It highlighted the dependency of modern air power on these aging but essential tankers. Every F-15E pilot, every B-2 crew, and every strategist at the Pentagon understood that the success of Operation Epic Fury hinged on the thin aluminum skin and the steady hands of the crews flying the KC-135A. The investigation into the crash would be exhaustive, as figuring out what went wrong was crucial to preventing it from happening again. Whether it was a tragic accident born from the pressures of a high-stakes mission or the result of an enemy attack, the incident underscored a fundamental truth of modern warfare. Logistics are everything, and the humble tanker is the unsung hero that makes it all possible. The fate of the entire operation rested on their wings. Thanks for watching. If you found this analysis interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into military technology and strategy. We'll see you in the next one.